Good morning, everyone. I trust your evening went well. It was a hot one again in Wichita, like 95, 96 about 7:30 last night. Not much cooler when I took the dog out for a walk. So we got one more day of pushing 100, give or take a little bit. And then we're supposed to be back into the mid-80s for seasonable temps. So hopefully we'll get some rain on this front that comes through. I know the wheat farmers don't want it, but I'll take it for my grass. We have a market that's, again, Greek news, and they're meeting today again in Brussels. You have a full finance ministers meeting plus the various heads of the European Union. A couple of articles out there. Greece has told them to take it or leave it. This is the best deal you can get from us. We're not going to raise the VAT taxes as much as you want us to, and we're not going to touch pensions. There's other stories out there that Greece will acquiesce. My guess is they probably acquiesce. I mean, from a politician's viewpoint, you never want to take the blame for something bad. You want to take credit for all the good. You don't want to be accountable. And no matter which party's in power, a self-inflicted wound like not getting a deal from the ECB would be really, really, really tough to absorb. Your name will go down in history not quite the way you wanted it. So the markets are playing like we have a Greek deal by next Tuesday, and we'll see if that actually happens. But we're going to be subject to news spikes. The second thing today is Fed Governor Powell speaks. Last week, he was the one that took the markets lower when he said interest rates should be increased in September. He went on to modify that speech saying if the economy warrants increasing. So Powell will be giving a speech today at 9:45 Eastern, and he can impact the market. Today's news focus: jobless claims 273. That's pretty much 275, give or take, is pretty much the default. Personal income up 0.4. Wow, what happened on that one? Personal spending. Sometimes you think you're doing okay writing with a mouse, but every now and then it just does its own thing. Plus 0.7. PMI services. $56.5. Excuse me, I forgot core PCE. Plus 0.1. And then natural gas inventories at 80 BCF. So, jobless claims and personal spending, especially personal spending right here, will be the market's focus, and then maybe we'll get something out of the PMI service number. Then once the once the 8:30 news is out of the way and the reaction has been absorbed, then we are into the 7-year auction now. The market sold on the 2-year, stabilized. On the 5-year, you can see that the auctions have been taking place in the 17-18 area. So my guess is today we'll see an auction at 18 plus or minus and or higher. And so yesterday's market for the 5-year was sideways. And then today's market, if history is a guide, will be a little lower, especially helped by news, and then by 11:30 or so it should start its way back up. And the reason for this is the dealers can't move paper when the market is selling. You know, I'll wait 10 minutes and buy it cheaper at Goldman or Citi or whoever it happens to be that has your account. So we're going to put our first buy 13 to 9, maybe a little weaker, lean against support. May have to pay as high as 17. Just don't know what the news is going to be. And then 1 to 5 for buy 2. On the sell side, 23, 27, sell 1, and then 31 to 03, sell 2. Really not too interested in the short side of the market today. But we do have news to get through in the E-minis reaction to it, and that could take us. We'll have to adjust for that. Okay, the knob spread contracted overnight. My guess is it will probably expand to support the 7-year auction. And so I think we'll probably be a little more aggressive on our buy side here. So we'll make 5 to 9 buy 1. And then 29 to 01 for buy 2. And the other place to be a buyer would be down here in this 21 area, 17 to 21. On the sell side, leaning against the high volume number, early in the session, 19 to 23, then 31 to 03. Gold is once again very, very quiet. It's holding the low end of its range. It is not breaking. So gold, by holding the low end of its range and not really breaking down, is telling us that a Greek deal is probably imminent. So 71, 69 buy 1, then 65 plus or minus buy 2. On the sell side, resistance is at 75, 77. That is sell 1. Pretty aggressive. Then 79, 81 will be sell 2. But given the lack of volatility and the fact that the market is lower awaiting news, gold is telling us that there will be a Greek deal. Don't know the way, shape, or form of it, but the European Union will continue to finance Greece because the European Union will be maintained. You have to keep that dual set of bureaucrats in Brussels gainfully employed. And that's a pretty fat life. It's about 200,000 euros for those that are higher up, tax-free, your own limo, tax-free, very housing. Very, very generous pensions. And you can bet your bottom dollar they don't stand in line at the clinics like in England to get their medical service. Okay, looking at the euro. Okay, we like the 50 to 75 area as support. It's still where we are. Then 50. So 50 to 75 is our buy zone. Right now, looking at where London is, 35. So top of value, so 25, 35, sell 1. And we got this little volume bulge up there. We'll make 65, 75, sell 2. Full ministerial financial meetings today, and the top of the food chain as far as your bureaucrat, their bosses. So market's probably on hold, subject to news spikes as both sides float trial balloons. Trying to see what will fly, what the market's reaction is to it. Crude oil had a relatively quiet evening. It is pointed down if you come in and you do your splits. You have to know how to split distributions if you're going to be successful with the profile. And new moves come out of the middle. You can see that we're dealing with B patterns right here, and you can see that we've got a pretty clean break in the volume in the 60-50 area, 60-75. Then it jumps up to 61, 61 and a quarter. So 50-75 will be sell 1. 61, 62 and a quarter will be sell 2. On the buy side, I think we can go a little lower. It looks like it's pointed lower, so 59 and a quarter, 59.50. Now up until today we've been buying this 59.75 area. So we'll see if that works. Then 58.75, 59. The EIA inventory report yesterday was actually pretty bullish, but the market sold, so might have some carryover support from that bullish number yesterday. Okay, the E-mini has come back overnight. China, Japan markets sold in response to yesterday's selling in the E-mini. The European markets were barely up, with France's market being basically unchanged, but it was a little lower, 0.3%. So the issue is, where is the seller? And our first round number out is the 10 area, so 9 to 11 is sell 1, 14 to 16 is sell 2. On the buy side, 2100 plus or minus 1. The 95.97. Now, the Greek deal will also be somewhat supportive for this market. So you can see we've got a buyer 2095 to 2100, and we got a seller 15 to 20, and we're pretty close to right in the middle of that range. Today's news: jobless claims, to refresh your memory, 273. I don't think people pay a lot of attention to that, given the personal spending number. Personal income plus 0.4. Personal service, spending, not service, plus 0.7. That will be the market's focus. Is the retail, a customer opening its purse and spending? Core, don't think anybody pays attention to that given the personal spending number. PMI services, 56.5. And natural gas inventories, 80 BCF. Okay, so Greek news with Powell at 9:45 Eastern. And Powell said raise interest rates in September last week, and he did impact the market. So I think Fed Governor Powell's speech will be watched a lot. Then Greek spikes. So personal spending is today's news focus, followed by Powell. As far as equities goes, then Greek news spikes. Okay, it'll take a bit to get everything up. I'm going to get busy on that. Be back with you as soon as possible. Look for a trading range with a down bias to get started in this contract. Later.